A haunted whodunit is exactly the type of Poirot story I want to see. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainely Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2023 mystery sequel, A Haunting in Venice. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and some tailored film recommendations, so be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. A Haunting in Venice stars Kenneth Branagh, Michelle Yeoh, and Tina Fey, and was directed by Kenneth Branagh. Set 10 years after the events of Death on the Nile, it tells the story of the now retired detective, Hercule Poirot, who finds himself solving a murder on Halloween night. I've said it before, but I love that whodunits are in the midst of a cinematic resurgence. There's just something so comforting about them. I suppose it's probably a bit counterintuitive, considering they're about murder, but really, whodunits are about solving the murder. And we as the audience get to feel like an active participant in that, getting to see and analyze all the clues right alongside the detective as the film progresses. And then we always get the summation, a tidy explanation of the solution to the mystery. It's comforting and satisfying to know in the end. Agatha Christie was one of the most prolific and adept at crafting these types of tales, so I always welcome the chance to watch a cinematic adaptation of one of her stories. And as of late, those adaptations have come in the form of Kenneth Branagh's Hercule Poirot franchise. Both of Branagh's previous Poirot films, Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, were already very familiar stories to many people. Not only are they among Agatha Christie's most well-known novels, but they were also both previously adapted into very popular films in the 1970s. Branagh's versions do bring something new to the table, but the essence of the mysteries and the solutions remain the same. A Haunting in Venice marks a departure from many of the norms of this franchise. Loosely based on a lesser-known Agatha Christie novel, Halloween Party, not only does this film stray a good deal from that source material, but it's also the first time the story has ever been put to film. So unlike with Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, audience members aren't going to be previously spoiled when it comes to the mystery. Admittedly, fans of whodunits are likely going to be able to piece together portions of this mystery as they watch, but this is still a mostly satisfying and multi-layered whodunit that'll keep you guessing until Poirot's classic summation. I mentioned that A Haunting in Venice is a departure from other films in the franchise, but this goes far beyond just the popularity of the source material. This is a very different type of movie. It's a Halloween film. That's probably not a surprise given the novel's title, Halloween Party, but it is Halloween through and through. It's set on Halloween night, there's a seance, the mystery is full of supposed ghosts and curses. It's still a Poirot whodunit, but with some spooky elements thrown in. It never goes full-blown horror or anything, but there's a definite air of supernatural thriller mixed in with the mystery. Not only does this Halloween spookiness impact the plot, but it greatly affects the tone, too. This is a much darker film than the previous two Poirot mysteries. Gone is the bright playfulness and humor, instead replaced by a moody and somber story of grief and despondency. Like the other films in the franchise, A Haunting in Venice can function as a standalone film. You don't need to watch Murder on the Orient Express or Death on the Nile to understand or enjoy this movie. It's got its own story, a completely separate whodunit mystery, and an all-new ensemble cast of suspects. The only thing that remains is Poirot, and the movie gives you enough information about him to deduce he's a world-renowned detective, which is all that's really required to understand the film. That said, I think seeing the previous two movies really enhanced this one. The dark seriousness of A Haunting in Venice initially makes it seem like a prominent outlier in the franchise, but when viewing it as part of the three-film set, it becomes obvious that there's a natural progression to these films, and to Poirot as a character, as we learn more about his backstory and really get to see the inner turmoil that lies beneath the mustache and OCD. In Murder on the Orient Express, Poirot is playful and humorous. He clearly enjoys his work and has fun with the mystery, a feeling that extends to the overall tone of the film. In Death on the Nile, only a few years later, there's a bit more darkness. There's still some humor, but Poirot's enthusiasm is clearly diminished, and as the tragic details of his past in World War I are revealed, we start to see the sadness and guilt that truly drive him. When someone he cares about is hurt during the film, the mystery becomes personal, and whatever enjoyment he had left turns to anger and regret. A Haunting in Venice picks up 10 years later with a retired and reclusive Poirot. It's never specified, but building upon his character development from the previous two films, it's clear that he's become disenchanted and cynical. World War II occurred in the interim between these films, and given his experiences during World War I, he no doubt was disappointed in humanity for allowing another world war to happen. Combined with his own grief and regret from previous film events, it's no wonder this movie takes a somber turn. The Haunting in Venice doesn't just refer to the ghostly mystery. Poirot himself is haunted by his past. As a result, A Haunting in Venice ends up being the most emotional and grounded film of the trilogy, even with the supernatural Halloween elements. It takes things back to the basics. No exotic locations, no reliance on CGI artificiality, just a spooky mystery in a storm-isolated haunted house. It all has this very classic feel to it, and it's only enhanced by the stellar production design and the most impressive cinematography of the series. Moody lighting, shadow-shrouded secrets, creepy imagery coupled with unsettling camera angles. It's a surprising technical step up that matches the serious and largely solemn mystery at the heart of the story. A Haunting in Venice is undeniably different from what came before it, but when viewed in the context of the grander franchise arc, this somber Halloween whodunit is a logical continuation of Poirot's investigatory escapades. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro number one has got to be the technical elements. I've enjoyed the look and feel of the other films in the franchise more than most people, but the technical filmmaking side sees a huge bump in quality with this third installment. The cinematography and lighting, the production design, the sound editing, it all comes together in a surprisingly impressive way to not only tell the whodunit story, but also to capture and enhance the darker tone of the film. The bright artificiality of the sets on Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile just wouldn't work here. A practical, storm-battered Venetian palazzo shot using off-kilter camera angles and moody lighting is exactly what a haunted whodunit needed. The second pro is Hercule Poirot. I've enjoyed Branagh's portrayal of Poirot in all three films, and always bring the famed detective up when talking about the positive aspects of these movies, but my inclusion of him is for a slightly different reason this time around. In the past, I've enjoyed his quirky personality, investigatory methods, and the humor that comes from his interactions with other people. But the Poirot in A Haunting in Venice is not the same playful detective. He's largely humorless, solemn, and grief-stricken, as he begrudgingly agrees to take this case as a favor to a friend. It's a different side to Poirot, but one that's been carefully set up for over the course of the franchise, which is something I never would have expected, but really appreciate. On the con side, the biggest issue is the mystery. I don't think it's bad, and I still get some enjoyment from its spookiness and the investigation to solve it, but it was a little lackluster to me. I'm not going to give anything away here, so no spoilers, but it never quite felt like it was able to truly capitalize on its supernatural thriller haunted house type framing. Again, it was fine, but just seemed like it could have had a bit more intrigue to go along with the moodiness. Before I give you my rating recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying A Haunting in Venice or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. I'm gonna give A Haunting in Venice 3.5 out of 5 paws. This is an engaging and moody Halloween whodunit that blends classic Poirot mystery with spooky supernatural thriller elements. It's not the best Christie mystery, and it's a little too dialogue-driven, but with its excellent cinematography and dark, somber tone, it's a change of pace that's still a natural progression within the franchise. I would recommend A Haunting in Venice to people looking for a slightly more serious-toned whodunit. This film is not nearly as playful as its predecessors, but uses its Halloween setting and spooky seance party to great effect by exploring a somber, grief-filled mystery. Branagh is still great as Poirot, but if you're looking for the bouncy, funny version of the detective you liked in Murder on the Orient Express, you're bound to be disappointed by the disillusioned version we have here. But if you like franchise-spanning character growth, spooky mysteries, and surprisingly strong cinematography, you'll likely be pleased with this film. If you liked A Haunting in Venice, I would recommend the 1963 version of The Haunting. Featuring an ensemble cast, this supernatural horror film follows a group of people conducting an investigation within a supposedly haunted house in order to scientifically prove the existence of ghosts. It's got a similar moodiness to the way it was shot, plus it features characters trapped in an eerie single location. If you want some more of Branagh's Poirot, you should check out Death on the Nile. Although arguably the worst of the three films in this franchise, I'm not recommending it for its mystery or its tone, but rather for the changes we see in Poirot. Changes that have a direct through line to the version of the character we see here in this third film. And if you like the idea of a non-believing cynic trying to debunk the supernatural, you might want to watch 1408. Based on a Stephen King short story, this is a much more horror-forward film that follows a writer as he stays in a supposedly haunted hotel room and experiences things he doesn't expect. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen A Haunting in Venice? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's your favorite movie about somebody trying to debunk a supernatural occurrence? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe while you're at it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.